Alright, new story, new era of the channel, another year. Let's have some fun. Today I bring you Snuff. You don't start out shooting snuff, you build up to it. To be honest, I never thought I'd let it get that far, and I wish I never did. I started out wanting to be a legit filmmaker, but that's a hard business to break into when you don't know the right people. Living on your own is expensive, and it gets humiliating to ask your parents for help covering your rent after the second time. My mom was always more than happy to help, but it wasn't like my parents were loaded, and I hated being a leech. Eating nothing but ramen noodles and cheap mac and cheese is its own kind of misery. Not to mention being unable to go out and do anything with friends. I mean, I survived, but I was miserable. So when the chance to film a porno came up, I jumped at the chance. I told myself it would be just this once. And as you know, just this once turned into just one more time. Then this would be the last time. And before I knew it, I started getting deeper and deeper into taboo. We aren't talking about 50 Shades here either. This is more than that. I knew I was getting out of the realm of legal when I filmed a girl cutting open her arms and licking up the blood. I don't know what she was on, but she had to be on something to do all this while smiling and giggling. But that check felt so damn good, so I kept my mouth shut. I was finally in the black. I told myself no one made her do these things, so what was the harm in it? Then, one day I was approached with a once-in-a-lifetime deal. I normally worked with my guy Charlie. He got all the hookups for weird stuff. One day, Charlie came over with this other guy. I'd never met him before. He introduced himself as Noel. Noel doesn't look how you'd probably picture someone in this scene. He was about 5'6" and balding on top. He wore these round wire-framed glasses and made me think of a school teacher. The kind of teacher that everybody loved. The one that you couldn't wait for his class every day because he never assigned homework and let you listen to music while you worked. I'm a fan of your work, Frank. Can I call you Frank? Noel took out his wallet and counted out a few $100 bills. This is your signing bonus. Once the film is complete, I'll double that. My eyes nearly popped out of my head. How long's the filming going on for? I asked, already snatching up the money. Oh, just a day, maybe 2, if we need to do reshoots. Don't worry, you'll be compensated if it takes any longer than it should. Noel extends his hand. What do you say? No hard feelings if you don't feel you're up to the task. I shook Noel's hand and asked when I started. I figured it would just be over-the-top BDSM when I saw the set, all chains and brick. I had a few drinks with the 2 male actors while we waited for the actress to make her appearance. Not gonna lie, I got Ted Bundy vibes from the guy calling himself Tommy, but Gabe seemed like another average, fun guy. When I saw the actress get dragged in, I realized just how deep I was in over my head. Her mouth had been duct taped shut. She'd clearly been crying and looked pretty banged up. Noel followed the man dragging her in and clapped his hands together. Let's get to work then. Frank, I'd like you to focus a lot on her limbs. The commissioner is very into legs and arms. You'll only get one chance, But since this is your first time filming this sort of kink, I won't be too upset if it's not perfect. I should have just bolted then. Gave Noel back his goddamn money and left. Gone to the cops. Gone to someone. Instead, I quietly sat behind the camera and treated it like any other porn film. Lights, camera, action. I never knew the girl's name. Both Tommy and Gabe wore full leather masks and were armed with hand saws. I zoomed in as they started tearing through her shoulder. Drops of blood landed on the camera, and I brushed them off without even thinking. I saw Noel nod approvingly at this natural motion. The arm fell to the ground, and I panned over it nice and slow as it rested on the floor. They took off her other arm and both legs. Her struggles slowly faded, and her eyes fluttering shut by the time they got through the final femur. Tommy and Gabe stood, bowed to the camera like they were on stage for a play, and cut. I had to run to the bathroom after that. I vomited for what felt like an hour. When I finally stumbled out, Noel handed me the rest of the payment. He patted my shoulder and helped escort me to my car. "It's always hardest the first time," he said. "I bet you were having dreams of filming the next summer blockbuster someday," he said. I didn't say anything, but I didn't need to. Noel just nodded. We all have had dreams like that. Maybe if things turned out differently, we would have been working on one of those blockbusters together. I'll call you when I need your services again. I told myself that I wouldn't pick up the phone again when Noel called. But I did. I did 25 snuff films in total. The money felt so damn good. And after a while, you really do become desensitized to it all. For me, it just felt like I was in a dream. A dream with gore and guts and horrible things happening to people. But it wasn't happening to me. I just saw it through a lens. The 25th film was the one that finally made me quit. I was out drinking with my fellow crew members when Noel came up with this darling blonde on his shoulder. I don't know how he did it, as he was pretty average in appearance himself, but he could get the hottest women. "Gentlemen, this is Rada. Rada, this is Tommy, Gabe, and Frank," he said, gesturing to all of them. Rada giggled and clapped. "Noel tells me you are actors?" she said, her hand almost shaking with excitement. Gabe puffed up. "Tommy and I are actors. Frank's the cameraman," he said. "Cameraman?" She cocked her head to one side. "Is it fun?" she asked. I shrugged. "Well, I like it. It pays the bills," I said. Very good, very good," Rada clapped before looking up at Noel. "Could I be in a film? I've always wanted to be an actress." I nearly dropped my glass. I had to excuse myself from the table, unable to ignore that glint of darkness in Noel's smile. I got a text about 20 minutes later saying to head to the studio. I stopped by at my home to change into clothes I didn't mind getting bloody before I walked over. Rada was clearly drunk as she teetered around the set. She poked at the chains on the wall and smiled. "Am I a captive in your scene, Noel?" she asked. "That sounds about right." Noel helped her into the chains, Rada's innocent doe brown eyes looking excitedly around. This whole thing made me genuinely sick. It was one thing when they were terrified, begging for mercy and sobbing as they realized they were doomed. But the innocent expression on Rada's face, how clear it was she had no idea what was going to happen. I almost walked out then. But then Noel slipped a few hundred in my hand, and I just got the camera ready. "Now remember, Rada, you are terrified. You are in true fear of your life, as this man is about to gut you. Don't be afraid to scream, Noelle said. Rada nodded. I can do that. I'm very good at being scared, she said. Tommy snickered before he pulled on his leather mask. This is just too easy sometimes, he muttered to me. I just turned and rolled my eyes. Lights. Camera. Action. Rada's bubbly expression changed to one of true terror as Tommy walked into the camera. Please, why am I here? I want to go home, please, she said as a tear rolled down her cheek. Tommy twirled around the knife before sliding it down her front, slicing through the front of her dress. Rada whimpered and turned her face away. I'll do whatever you want. Please, take my money. Use my body, she begged. The knife nicked her skin, and I saw this brief moment of confusion before she began to struggle in earnest, realizing this wasn't just a movie anymore. No! Unchain me! I don't like this game! Director! I don't want to play anymore! She shouted. The knife went into her stomach, and her breath caught before she screamed so loudly I felt my ears pop. Tommy sliced down her stomach, thrusting his hand inside to pull out her intestines. He held them in front of her eyes as she continued to scream actual bloody murder. Even Noelle, who was typically quite passive during these scenes, winced and rubbed one of his ears. Rada's dying breaths came as all her organs were spilled out in front of her. Tommy bowed for the camera and cut. Incredible. Noelle shook his head before he got up to throw Tommy a towel. You've truly outdone yourself. Tommy nodded before I heard a groan. Noelle, can I go again? I can do better. I'm not lying when I say I literally pissed my pants when I saw Rada's head roll back up, blinking a few times before her eyes focused on Noelle. Tommy screamed like a schoolgirl as he scrambled away, ripping off his mask. How the fuck? He yelped as Rada began to tug at her chains. The girl groaned before rolling her eyes and smashing her right hand against the wall. I heard bones crack before she pulled her mangled hand free. She did the same to the left before she began the impossible task of shoving her organs inside her mangled torso. Scene, sorry. Your angles were off when I hurt. She grunted as she popped her large intestine back inside. Excuse me. That scene would look better covered in my blood. I can be cleaned. She looked up with a smile as she attempted to pull her skin together. Noelle got up from his chair. I saw him shake as he slowly approached this woman that should absolutely be dead. What are you? He said softly. Rada giggled. An actress, Noelle. I want to be a very good actress. We filmed that scene 3 more times. Rada had to film the rest of the shots naked, but she didn't mind. Only thing that bothered her was how cold the stone under her ass was. After each time she'd get up, put herself back together, and we'd go again. I'd never filmed for so long before, not for one of Noelle's films. The sun was coming up when Noelle finally said we were done. I was about to leave when Rada stopped me. Can I see? She asked, snuggling into the shirt she'd stolen from Tommy. Swallowing, I let her have the camera and rewound to the final time we filmed, which Noelle had said was going to be his best work yet. She watched silently, nodding approvingly as Tommy tore out her heart and squeezed the beating organ in his hand. My expressions are believable? She asked. Does it really hurt you? I asked. Rada nodded. It hurts like if it would kill me, but like I said, I want to be an actress. Will I be famous because of these films? I can change if the director needs me to be a different girl. She looked so eager for my response. In certain circles, you'll be a star, I left that day and never went back. I never picked up Noelle's phone calls. Charlie was as good as dead to me. I cut my lease early and am now living back with my parents in Ohio. I think I'll be going back to school. Go into something less bloody, like accounting. My mom always wanted me to be an accountant. I never want to film anything again, especially one of Noelle's films. I wonder if Rada is starring in all his movies now. Fuck it all. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter for more wonderful things like this. Thanks so much for watching. Try not to die today.